Lando Norris dominated in Mexico to take pole and win the race as he overtakes his teammate Oscar Piastri with just 1 point with 4 races left in the championship. What a weekend in Mexico City, and what a weekend for Lando Norris. The Brits look certain to now fight officially for the Formula One title. For Max Verstappen, he couldn't finish first, but finished in the top 5. And for 1-1, Oscar Piastri, he also had to dig deep from 7th to also go on to finish in the top 5. Nonto, great weekend for Lando Norris. I'll take the flowers. Yeah. I've insisted that he's not out yet. Lando remains in the championship race. Lando will fight until the end, and is now overtaking his teammate, talking about Oscar Piastri, by just 1 point with 4 races to go. We've got 100 points to fight for in the Formula One right now, and Lando Norris is the man.
I think for him, it's the way he started the race in Mexico. I think he started like a house on fire, you know. And up until towards the last 2 rounds where they would have chased him up. Unfortunately, there was there was a red flag or something, and then nobody could chase, nobody could safety car, nobody could easily overtake anymore. But before then, he did the job, like you said, pole position, you know, leading the line. And then giving his, you know, despite his teammate not starting on. We'll come to my guy, but for Lando Norris, it was a perfect weekend. Finishing in pole, you know, leading the race from start to finish, despite the pressure from Charles Leclerc and of course Max Verstappen. And then to win it for me was the icing on the board for me. And now, like you said, not the winning is one thing, but to go over his teammate by 1 point, it tells a whole lot of story.
Now 357 to 356 is very close. Very close. It looks like we're about to have one of the greatest, Formula One season if it ends this way. Don't forget that there's a certain Verstappen who is still in the title race. It's not over yet. If Verstappen had won this weekend, like we said the last time, after the race in Austin, it was getting closer. Verstappen won in Austin, and we're seeing the clearer picture. But for Oscar Piastri, the struggle has been there. Yeah. Now, since the second half of the season, it's been one car problem to the other, one wrong decision to the other. I think it's only won 1 race since the start of the break. Yeah, but this time around for of course Lando, who is just winning his own first in the second half of the race, but it's been consistent. Yeah, it's good about Norris, like there's always zero about the point places. In as much as Piastri as well finished in point places, but he didn't finish in podium place. I think he finished in 5th. We'll come to him very soon. He finds a way to not be there or there, but I think last time he finished 3rd when he did not win, even when this guy won, he finished 2nd behind him. And it's always, having a beautiful fight, So for me, like I said, Norris, I love the fact that he had this never say die. You were one of the believers, and I think, I'm trying to remember the name of the young boy as well, Oliver Behrman.
No, not Behrman, the young child, I'm trying to remember him who was here, who believed that Lando Norris.
Donald
as well. So I think he'll be happy as well, because I didn't see this happening. Never in a million years, even before the break, I would have thought that at the second half of the season, there will be this turnaround that Norris, he's the favorite right now. But we like
you think so?
He is. Now Norris is the favorite right now. But Piastri, you can't rule out Piastri because of the fact that, to me, I think he's the best driver. He knows when to take the turns. He knows when to take the risk. And that's why you could see, I was even surprised he finished 5th. At some point, he was 7th. But, he fought and climbed up to 5th. I'm sure at that point, it wasn't widening a much to 1 point. If he had finished in 3rd, he would have still been on top. But for me, fantastic race as well from him. The fact that he, like I said, moved from 7th down to 5th, finishing in the top 5, even though, again, not in the podium places. Big win for him. But again, for me, for McLaren, it's about the fact that their drivers are they're at 1 or 2, and the gap is too much. Despite Verstappen's resurgence in the second half of the season. Let's be sincere now. We have 36 points off Lando Norris, 35 points off Piastri. So, and with 4 races to go, 100 points to go. So, what it means, he needs to win convincingly in 3 of those races and hope that those guys does not finish in podium for him to become champion before the final race. So, for me, it's a long...
So you're saying it's a long tall order for Max Verstappen, like rightly said. Yeah. Now, this is it. Now, Lando Norris is on 357 points. Oscar Piastri is on 356 with Verstappen on 321. Yeah. Now, what it means is there are 100 points to go. Yes. Now, let's assume Verstappen wins all races. Now, for the McLaren drivers, all they need to ensure finish second. No, you have to even finish second. At least one of them has to finish second all through.
Yes, to win it.
If you finish second all through, regardless of what happens, because it's just going to be 8-point difference in the 4 races. And unfortunately, the 8 will not give it 36. They cannot give it. Well, it will give. It will give. So it means that if he wins all 4 races,
32, he wants to give 36.
It could potentially go above.
Yeah, it could. They can't.
One of them.
There's only one. The best he could get, if they finish, if they individual finish second in the row, the best person can finish is second, because he can finish his second, because 8 without the man, 8 times 4 is 32, and this guy is 36 points adrift. The other one is 35 points adrift. So it depends on how, but again, anything can still happen. There could be DNFs. There could be days where, like we saw in the pits, when they try to pit to waste so many time, a lot of times before they get back to the racing. And was it a guy who almost had a serious accident this race? I can't remember his name. Where he was screaming in his radio that he almost hit those guys. So some guys ran through.
They ran through into the track.
Yeah, into the track, and he said he screamed. They almost hit. That would have been disastrous. So a lot of things can happen in the race. So it's still open, like I said. But again, I think the McLaren drivers are favorites.
Now let's go to Oscar Piastri. What has gone wrong? What has gone wrong for Piastri?
I can't tell. Maybe the cars are slower, but of course, I
don't want to agree the cars are slower. You correctly said at the start of the season, he's the better driver.
He's the better driver
than Lando Norris. Yes, but what has happened in the second half? Now, it looked like it was impossible from close to 100 points to just 36 points. But I think 4 races to go.
I think he had a great race. Look from where he started from after the pole. I think he was 7th. To rush back and finish 5th, despite what happened towards the end. We talk about the safety cars and all those issues. For me, it was a good race, because if this guy had standard up more than 1, maybe a huge gap, then he would not be playing catch up. Now for me, it looks like they're the same. Yeah, 1 point, but to me, they just had power. All they do is win the next race, and it's back on top again. So a lot of things can happen. Like I said, maybe it takes a lot of risk, and for risk takers in Formula One, you will really understand that you will make a lot of mistakes. You will learn from it. Like I said, I did never in my wildest dream believed that it was causing 4 races to go that Lando Norris will be on top of the table. But it is what it is. But again, maybe too much risk, maybe complacency, who knows? But again, I'm loving it. Like you said, it is the best race you've seen. But I think it's the best I've seen in a very long time. Both teams, the teams allowing both drivers have a go at each other, giving the fans something to cheer. We can't even blink our eye for a second, because we don't know what's going to happen. By the time I was watching, I was like, wow. Now again, I want to say it on record. I still believe that Oscar Piastri will win the championship.
Oliver Behrman for Haas. Yeah. Surprise. Yeah. Finishing the top 5. Young lad, doing well for himself.
He's 17, right?
The Brit is absolutely firing, doing well, had a great weekend, and he will take it. Now, just opposite is another Brit who started in 3rd and finished 8th. Lewis Hamilton, I felt was going to be his weekend, at least get that podium finish. But ended up in 8th position.
I'm looking at it like a person of the church. After Lewis Hamilton, like who's going to be the next guy in British reign? But of course, we know Lando Norris is also British as well. So it's not as if he's had, but he's a young boy. The boy has got a very bright future, and the fact that he's not even driving one of the fastest cars, and to make it in the top 5 is huge for me. For me, like I said, I believe the future of the sport is safe. Looking at the fact that this year we've seen a lot of from Kimi to the guy who drives for Subaru. I can't remember his name. These young boys are astonished, astonishing boys. Now you cannot add them,
Isaac Haja.
Exactly. These young boys into the mix as well. So for
Behrman and the rest.
Behrman as well. What he's just done, 17 years.
20 years actually.
It's 20, but I thought it was a teenager.
20.
Anyway, but again, either way, he's very young, relatively young in racing, and then to do this is huge. I know the picture, our mind will be on what's happening in the top part of the race. Is always going to win the title. What's the points like between Verstappen, Norris, and of course Piastri? But for him, I think he had a fantastic race yesterday, and he should be commended. For me, I must say. But like I said, I think my best driver for me would be this young man, Oscar Piastri. I think he had from 7th, run out to 5th. I think you understand the fact that you need to stay in this race, and I think he did enough. 1 point to me. With 4 races to go, it's absolutely not.
Can Oscar Piastri, can Max Verstappen push?
He can.
With 4 races
I think he finished 3rd, right? And just behind Charles Leclerc. Don't forget, even him too also had a good run. I believe he would have
in 5th.
Exactly.
And finished 3rd.
And don't forget as well that he looked like he was, if not for the safety cars, I felt he would have gone maybe finished 2nd. What I was watching until those things happened, he was having a go as well. So for me, You can't rule him out. Yes, the points looks like he needs a miracle. Like we just did the calculation. But how are we sure that one of them will finish second? And if he finish first? It's like, it's hard though, on paper. Like, I say that, but we've seen crazier things happen in the sport. So the best he can do is believe and keep driving, keep doing his best stuff, try and finish him. But most importantly, right now he must finish first in all the races and then see what happens.
Well, for Max Verstappen to go on to defend his Formula One title with the simple, with 4 races to go in Brazil, Las Vegas, of course, Qatar and Abu Dhabi, to end the races, he must win all 4 of those races and ensure, and then hope, I beg your pardon, that Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris probably don't finish in podium in any of the 2 races, in any of the 4 races, and then his chances could be, of course, clear. For Lando Norris, it is simple. What is done over the weekend in Mexico shows that win 2 races, stay there about there, and ensure you do better than Oscar Piastri, and you are crowned champion. If he wins 2 races, finish better than Piastri in the remaining 2, whatever happens at the end of the day, it looks set, except it does a DNF, of course, where he loses the entire point. And that's why I don't, that's starting.
Or maybe we'll finish away from the points, a lot of top 10.
That's where there's a problem, where he gets no points awarding our position. Yeah. And that's where there's a problem for him. And then Verstappen goes on to win and take all 25 points, and he doesn't win any. So it is complicated. And of course, for the man who was leading the championship for most of the season, yes. I think the last time Lando Norris led was in April. The last time he led the championship was in April. And just to look at from April down till this month in October, and he's now just reclaimed with just a single point. It means he goes into the final 4 races, believing in himself that he can actually go on to win it. I put my money on him for the last 2 months, and I do hope that he ends in victory for Lando Norris, even though Piastri still looks like the man favorite for
the remaining 4 races will be very tough because of the heat in those regions. From Abu Dhabi to Brazil.
No, from Brazil.
I'm not calling about the places they're going to be. So the heat is crazy over there. We saw what happened during the championship in tennis, not to digress a little bit. So for me, let's say how they cope. I think the last race, they had to wear a vest. They had to force, either you wear the vest or you drop the vest in your car. So your car does not have an advantage weight than any other person. Everybody has an equal. So I want to say, some drivers they don't know how to cope with the heat, driving in such humid temperature. Let's put and say a lot of driving to happen.
Let me put you on the spot now. So 4 races to go, who wins it?
I still go with Oscar Piastri. I can't change my mind now. For one reason, he's a driver that you see. I love entertainment. You know that much. Whether it's tennis, basketball, I love those who entertain. That's why I love the like of Rafa Nadal and the rest. Football. Let me not digress a bit. So for me, I will go Piastri. I think he's a risk taker. And I think he will take more risk that will help him with the points, just enough to win the title this year.
Well, he will take more risk, just enough to win him the title this season. We wait to see how it pans out for Piastri, who surprise drops to second with 356 points this last weekend in Mexico with his teammate Lando Norris, now leading him with Max Verstappen in third. Still there about there, don't rule him out. Still very much in the title race. But for this weekend in Mexico, it was Lando Norris who won the race. Oscar Piastri, Max Verstappen in second. I beg your pardon. That's the overall race. I'm talking about the overall championship. Yeah. But this weekend it was Charles Leclerc who finished second. See, I think for Leclerc, he has to do better next season. He's done well for himself this season.
I think the cars have improved as well.
Yeah, of course. Doing well in the podium places, finishing on podium. 2 races ago.
He needs to compete next
before the race in Austin. I think he did win it before Austin. And he's, coming closer. So for me, I think he might not win it.
He should be a challenger next season.
But next season, he should be a challenger of Ferrari.
Absolutely.
Ferrari looks faster this year.
They look faster, they look better. I think the grip of the cars is much better. And he stopped complaining a lot. He's one of those who complain. So for me, I think they should be competing next year. Maybe not. Maybe I'm asking too much because I think next year the McLaren will still be there. I think Red Bull will improve because you can see how fast they've become at the start of the second stanza of the season. So, but again, they should challenge as well.
Well, to correct, it was Russell who won before the race in the US. It was not Leclerc. Was it
George Russell?
Yeah, it was Russell who won that race just before we went to Silverstone in Austin, where come on, we knew who won that one. Max Verstappen, looking like he's beginning to get caught.
That's his track,
and all of that. But now we head to Brazil. And then we'll see what next for Mexico to Brazil, still in the America.
Yeah.
And then still to America, back to America again, in the US, where before we then settle down and end the race in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But it's one man willing, Lando Norris, 357 points. Second position is his own teammate, Oscar Piastri, with 356 points. And of course, in third is Max Verstappen on 321 points. Who wins it? Will it be the men in first and second, or can Max Verstappen retain his Formula One World Championship? Only time will tell. Off the pitch, brought to you by Azar Studios.